Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's SheFan Pro's Grow Your Network, an opportunity for you all to tap into SheFan Pro's huge and fantastic network of human beings across the world. We're very, very proud of every single person, and we're delighted to have you here today in the audience, but also watching back on the recording. Thank you for joining us. You know, it's an exciting time. You know, we're in the month of March. Summer's coming. It's always an exciting time for me because that means that we're going to be having lots more face-to-face catch-ups with you all. And indeed, if anybody does want to meet up with any of the team and have a catch-up, please just let us know. In the meantime, back to the most important bit, I'd like to welcome our fabulous guest, Nina. Now, let me tell you, I was down in Kensington a few weeks ago at an event, and Nina was one of the panelists. And my God, she blew me away. Out of all of them, no disrespect to the others, but out of all of them, Nina just like, wow. And I waited around because I thought, I've got to speak to this lady, because her energy was just, oh, you'll know what I mean. I'm not going to explain any further. You'll know exactly what I mean, you know, once you finished watching this recording. So without further ado, Nina, thank you so much for joining us. Love you to bits. Love your energy. I think you're amazing. And I'm going to hand over to Saumya now. Saumya, please take it away.
Oh, thank you, Miss Shelle. So, as we all know, that education is the mother of leadership. And here there is a wonderful lady named Miss Nina Szewczak. And she is not just a representation of education because she's got various degrees and qualifications. She's highly qualified, and she also represents that leadership qualities. And she's a wonderful human being, and she's a great leader as well. Now, let me tell you, she has around 12 degrees from various universities, and these are just degrees. And she also, in addition to these degrees, got licenses and certifications. And I'll quote few because I think the list is quite huge. So she did psychology and neuroscience from King's College London, MSc Human Resource Management, Kingston University, CIPD qualification, so on and so forth. She's also an NLP master practitioner. She's a board member of Chartered Management Institute. She was part of Lush Fresh Handmade Cosmetics, and with all various experiences not only through work, but also through life, she established this institute named Midlife Revolution. And that's what right now she's doing. And now let's hear to such a wonderful lady. And the stage is yours, Miss Nina.
Thank you so much, both of you, for such an introduction. I feel so, first of all, thank you for having me as part of your network. I think Sonal has just put a question in. What was the connection of me to Lush? Actually, the connection was my 17-year career at Lush. So I spent 17 years within the company. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. So it's actually a huge connection, and Lush has played a vital role in who I am today and the skills that I've got as well. So yeah, but before I crack on, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you so much for waiting for me, Shelle, at that event in Kensington, because I know you waited a long time, and I really, really appreciate that. And if it wasn't for that event and for your patience, I wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm extremely grateful, and I'm feeling extremely honored to be part of this incredible network, because I feel our values and ethics and passions and drives are very much aligned with what we're trying to do in the world. Not what we're trying to do. Trying is a bad word. What we are doing in the world. I don't do trying. I either do something or you're not doing it. So we are doing it. I have got a few slides, so you don't just have to look at my face the whole time. So I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay with everyone. And it's not letting me share exactly what I want, but I hope it's coming. Can everyone see my screen now? Perfect. So when I was thinking about preparing for this event, I thought, Wow, I'm involved in so many things, and I do so many things. Like, how do I pull it all together? And also, how do I pull it all together in a way that serves us as a community? So the Midlife Revolution and SheFan Pro. So I thought actually the common thread between everything that I do and who I am is being a 21st century woman. And the common thread between all of us is being 21st century women as well. So I thought that might be a good title for what I wanted to talk about today, and our partnership. Before I talk about me, I thought maybe we'll start with a little icebreaker. What a cliche, hey? But I want to break the ice. So I thought we'll do a little bit of an activity where if you can give an example of one woman whose name starts with the same letter as your name, and just describe her in one word, someone who inspires you, that would be great. So for example, my name is Nina. My name starts with N. So for me, Nelly McClan, who I would describe as an absolute trailblazer, amongst a million other words that I could have used. So now over to you. Who would like to go first? Or should I pick?
Oh,
Okay.
now then. So we've got to share a name and one word that describes a woman. So we've not got to name the woman, we've just got to do a word that describes the woman.
Name the woman. So it needs to be a woman whose name starts with the same letter as your name. So a lady whose name also starts with S for you, and then describe her in one word.
All right. Okay. Give me 1 minute.
Okay. Sonal has a hand up, so Sonal, go for it.
Okay, my name is Sonal, so S for Serena Williams, the tennis player, and I would just think of her as really successful.
Amazing. Not just an S for your name and for Serena, also successful. I love it. Sonal, you've just taken this icebreaker to another level. Thank you.
Oh, I'm trying to think. There's so many. That's the thing, isn't it? I would say, my name's Shelle, obviously beginning with S, and I would say I'm going to give a shout out to Sonia Barlow from LMF Network, because what she's done there, bringing women together, mentoring and menteeing and all the amazing work that she's done. I mean, it's huge. So I'm going to give a shout out to Sonia Barlow.
She's amazing, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Wonderful. Thank you. Saumya or Joanne, who would like to go next?
Shall I go?
Go for it. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll take the name of a goddess named Saraswati, because her name and my name, we both have the common starting letter. And one word that describes her is wisdom.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Joanne?
Joanne, do you have anything?
Yes, I would say mine is Joanna Rowland, because I'd say, well, she's just fabulous. I mean, what she did at her age, it wasn't, after everything she went through, and then her age, what she did, I mean, just fabulous.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I can't see if we have anyone else in the room. If we do, because I can't see all the faces, then make yourselves known. But if we don't, thank you so much. I know it's so cheesy to start with icebreakers, but there's so much power in community, in inspiration, and in us empowering each other. And of course, this is what and the massive purpose of this network is. So I thought it would be really nice for us to also think of the people who inspire us, perhaps outside of the network, from the current times, from past times, and so on, before we crack on. So thank you so much for being willing to share. So who am I? Very often we start with, well, I do this and this is the business I'm in and whatever, but that's part of it, of course. But really, we are human beings first and foremost. So who am I? I'm a woman. I'm a global citizen. I'm a forever foreigner because I left my country years ago and never went back. So wherever I am, I'm always a foreigner. I'm a mother of 2 fur babies, 2 Dalmatians called Nala and Mickey, who will feature on one of my slides. I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm an academic student, I'm a lifelong learner, entrepreneur, a cheerleader, a consumer, and a million other things. Just like every single one of us, I'm a person who plays a lot of different roles every single day, and we all do that. And I think very often we underestimate the roles that we play and how much we actually do in the world, because we're so focused on thinking, what do we do for work? Very often we forget about all the other roles that we play. So that's who I am. What do I do? Well, my name is Nina, as I've already been introduced. I basically pretty much, I haven't left school. So every time I finish one degree, I go for another. And I continue to educate myself because I'm a lifelong learner. I do believe that nothing can beat the experience and the lessons that you get and the wisdom that you get from life lessons. But I have always been very keen to develop my professional knowledge alongside my life experience and work experience, because when I started my career, I didn't know anything. I had no qualifications, I had no experience, I had no idea, and my English was pretty much non-existent too. So I was starting from scratch. So I wanted to make sure that I learned fast. And in order to learn fast, I wanted to have a fully rounded knowledge there for me that was combining what life was trying to teach me, what work was teaching me with hands-on experience, and professional qualifications to make sure that I had a holistic view of things. So I am the midlife revolution specialist. I love the title. I made it up completely. And of course, interestingly, because I think especially LinkedIn can be seen as a quite serious place. Someone actually said to me last week, surely you don't call yourself the midlife revolution specialist when you work with corporates. And I went, surely I do. And I call myself whatever I want, because that's the freedoms and privileges that we have got. So my background, as Saumya kindly introduced, is basically 17 years of experience and qualifications and expertise in leadership and change and transformation and coaching and HR and mentoring and wellbeing and mental health as well. And I'm an executive contributor to the Brains magazine, and my business is CPD accredited. So for me, learning is just what I do. It's one of my biggest passions. But this is just part, because first and foremost, I'm a citizen, I'm a human, I'm a woman, and I'm here to build a community. And also, if you have got any questions throughout, you don't have to wait to the end. You don't have to put your hand up. Just say whatever you want to say. I want us to be quite chilled. In terms of my story, and this is going back to Sonal, to your question about the connection with Lash. These are my fur babies, Nala and Mickey, Dalmatians. I'm a little bit like a Cruella de Vil, really, with two pups. So my story is I'm originally from Holland, as you probably have guessed from my accent, that I'm not from the UK. And I moved to the UK when I was 20, but just before then, so I was basically getting education in environmental protection. And actually my specialty is water purification and sewage. Very exciting. I also had a work experience where I spent 4 weeks in the sewage place. Lovely. And then I went on to studying engineering. But in between finishing one degree and going for engineering, I spent some time in Germany. And prior to that, I'm the only child. So I lived in Poland on my own because my mum moved to Italy when I was 17. So prior to moving to Germany, I always thought, how can she live in another country? Like, I can't imagine living anywhere else. And then I went to Germany for a few months and I thought, now I know why she lives in another country. It's actually really exciting. But having spent a few months there, I went back to study. And after 3 months, I realized that I would never, ever make a useful engineer. Never. It just wasn't my thing. So I thought, well, there's no point in me spending 5 years learning something that I'm going to be useless at. So what's the next best thing I can do if I quit uni now, bearing in mind we're already halfway through the academic year, so I couldn't really apply for anything else. And because I never ever learned English in my life, I literally didn't understand even one simplest word, didn't know anything because I learned German my whole life. I thought, well, if I want to achieve what I want to achieve in life, and I had big dreams, I need to learn English. I couldn't afford the lessons in Poland, so I thought, well, where's the next best place I can learn? The UK. Having never ever been to the UK before, I took a 24-hour bus journey and arrived to London Victoria Station. Didn't know anyone, didn't speak a word of English, and thought, see what happens. So I originally planned to come for a few months, just so I can do the few months before applying for something else at university in Poland. But the few months had extended to 18 years. And within those 18 years, I built a life that was way beyond my wildest dreams. So I had an incredible career at Lash. I started as a Christmas temp. Like I said, my English was very poor, but I very quickly learned, progressed to management, and I was a senior manager, a trainer, senior management and leadership developer, all sorts of roles. I ended up working with the founders on all things people and organizational development. So I was in a kind of people partner and facilitator role. So I've absolutely loved my career there. And so I got married in the meantime to someone who also worked for Lash. So I had everything like the kind of societal, or what society perceives as success. I had the career, I had the husband, I had the dream house, like 6 holidays a year, the studies and everything else. And then came New Year's Eve 2021, 2022. So not this New Year's Eve just gone, but the one before. And my life, ironically, just after midnight, took a wild turn and my whole life disappeared. So I thought, okay, since my fairy tale life no longer exists, I have to do something else. And people are telling me, it's going to take you 2 or 3 years to be able to move on, and this will be a new chapter. And I thought to myself, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this house. I don't know how I'm going to survive this, but this will not be a new chapter. I want a new book. I don't want a new chapter, because for me, a new chapter would mean being the same character in the same shoes, continuing the same story. And I wanted to create something else. And because I knew that I can create another life, just like I did when I moved from Poland to the UK. I knew that I can do it again, but this time I wanted it to be more intentional. So I basically sold, gave away, donated everything that I had. I packed my whole 18 years into one 20-kilo suitcase, took Nala and Mickey with me and a one-way ticket to Canada, and off we went. So I went for a few months to do nothing, just to clear my head and see what I wanted to do next and create a brand new life. So this was my last year. Which was incredible. And since then, I basically live wherever my passport is. I had to come back to the UK to support someone's health for a while. So my dogs are actually in Canada and my life is here, there and everywhere. But since then, I started the midlife revolution. People cannot believe that I look and feel, and I am so happy within a year, considering everything that has happened in my life. But that's the power of the mind, and that's the power within us all. And I believe that every adversity can leave you with wounds or can provide you with wisdom. So I was very keen to make sure that I get the wisdom out of it, not wounds. My biggest passion, so I often get this question, what's your biggest passion? My biggest passion is life. The chances of me being born were less than 1 in 400 trillion. The chances of you being born were less than 1 in 400 trillion. Yet we are here. I believe that we're miracles. I am a miracle, you are a miracle, every single person, every single being on this planet is a miracle. And we are the most comfortable generation that has ever been on this planet. We have the most possibilities and opportunities that have ever been on this planet. And we have quicker and easier access to resources and support and communities than ever. Yet, at the same time, we're also more unhappy, stressed, anxious, and depressed and worried about the future than any other generation. And I'm very passionate about that, because life to me is a miracle, and we don't need to suffer as much as we are suffering. So a big part of my drive is to be able to use myself as an experiment, an example to show that you can, you don't need to have the connections, the money, and, have lots of support in order to be able to create the dream life. And living your best life and living your dream life doesn't mean rainbows and unicorns the whole time. Of course, life comes with ups and downs, but living your best life to me is having the resilience and the resources and the self-trust, first and foremost, to know that whatever gets thrown your way, you can overcome it and you can use as a foundation to build something better. So any tough time can give you wisdom, and any tough time can give you something that will actually help you to establish a much better future. Here's another thing that I see as a challenge. Of course, we're all women here, and we're deeply passionate about our missions. And as we know, that without investment, gender equality will take us nearly 300 years. Considering all the access to the resources and information and opportunities and possibilities that we have got, I just think that's unacceptable. And we have more power than this. But globally, women still represent only 1 in 3 when it comes to entrepreneurs, when it comes to CEOs, businesses, and so on. Stereotypes are still limiting our access to resources. Funding is still very limited, and only 2% of all funding goes to all female teams. Outrageous. 40% of women who are actually set to raise funding actually face sexual harassment very often. So I says harassment, but actually 50%, 58%, I think, of all the harassment cases are basically women have been offered funding for sex. And 48% of women entrepreneurs are also not having access to mentors and support and advisors, which is, of course, essential, as we know, when it comes to career. So to me, all of that is completely unacceptable. And that's something that I think we feel very passionate to drive towards. So the mission that I see us on is, and I love this quote from Audrey Hepburn, that as you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself, one for helping others. I believe that we need to use our hands to remove from women and to enable women to design tech that actually works for us and meets our needs. But doing this, we can bridge the gender gap, we can reduce poverty, we can literally progress towards more inclusive world. And today's tech is building tomorrow's world, and we need to make the most of it, and we need to play a vital role in it. And we have got the opportunities and possibilities. And yes, it's not all easy and it's not all rosy, but we're also strong women. We're determined, and we have got a lot of power, especially when we come together. And together, I believe we can build a world that's bias-free, discrimination-free, and without stereotypes. And I believe that it is in our hands to do so. And it's not letting me change my slide. So I believe that our power is in, I said, hashtag together we can. The power is in community, and I'm going to refer back to Shelle's video for International Women's Day, talking about the fact that when we come together, we thrive and prosper together. And I 100% agree with this. Women have always been the backbone of communities, of families, of building things together, of empowering each other. And there is so much power in it. The power to me is in our communities. The power is in us being authentic selves. And actually being driven by what's at the heart, what's at the core, what we feel is right, what we know is right. I feel deeply passionate about this because very often over the years, we get the imposter syndromes. We feel like we should be this, we should do this, we should behave like this. We get knocked down. We get conditioned to believe that we're not good enough or don't know enough or not strong enough. But actually, we have got that innate wisdom. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That's so kind, Sonal. We have a lot of innate wisdom that almost like drummed out of us over the years. And I feel like we need to reconnect with the hearts and go back to this because we know it and we have got the strength. So the power is in our hands, it is in our minds, and it is in our hearts. And it is in us coming together and doing what we believe and what we know at the heart of it is right. And here's something a little bit, because I'm very passionate about obviously neuroscience and the brain. And this might seem very obvious, but your thoughts generate your emotions. So if you think happy thoughts, you feel happy. If you think sad or anxious thoughts, you feel sad, or you feel anxious, or you feel worried. Then our emotions drive our behaviors, because of course we react to the happy thoughts and happy emotions, or the not so happy thoughts and emotions. Our behaviors then drive our actions. Our actions create our experiences. And of course, all the experiences actually adapt to the overall experience we call life. So everything starts with a thought. And I feel like this isn't talked about enough. And it may seem very, very obvious, but it's not talked about enough. We talk about self-development, we talk about well-being, we talk about feedback, we talk about a million different things. But actually, unless you look after the garden of your mind and the mindscape and make sure that your thoughts are the right thoughts, that they are supporting, that they are empowering, that they're not going against what you're trying to achieve and what you're working on, you can have the best night's sleep, you can eat all the right food, you can have a pampering bath with the most lovely candle. If your mind is full of negative, dark thoughts, you're not going to be well. So to me, that's why it's so important to talk about the power of our brain and the power of thoughts. And the other thing I wanted to mention here is that our brains have a natural tendency for confirmation bias. What that means is that the brain will seek out and find evidence to prove back to you of things that you believe in. For example, if you believe that you're inconsistent, I believe that for years, the brain will seek out examples of your inconsistency and will show back to you to prove that you are inconsistent, because that's what you trained it to believe. Very often, people don't realize that what's in the brain is not true, it's not real, and it's not a fact. A lot of the times what we have got in our minds is what we've put in there over the years. And actually we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are exactly the same today as they were yesterday and the day before yesterday. So if over the years we've put in a lot of thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm inconsistent, I'm never going to achieve this, or this is okay for other people, but it will never happen for me. That's what the brain believes. And if the brain believes that, whether that's true or not is another matter. If the brain believes that, that's the examples that it's going to show you. And I always use the example to make it very simple of red car. If you suddenly decided that you wanted to buy a red car, you start noticing a lot more red cars everywhere. Wherever you go, you suddenly see the red cars. Or if you decide to buy a certain brand, let's say you want to buy a BMW, suddenly you start noticing BMWs everywhere. Are there more BMWs or red cars on the road than there were yesterday or the day before yesterday? No. But now you focus your brain on it, so your brain is seeking out the evidence of what you're focusing on and showing it back to you. And that's exactly how it works. That's why it is paramount to be very, very aware and do a mindscaping assessment of like, what's in the mind and how do the thoughts and beliefs actually support what I'm doing with my life and where I'm going and, you know, my dream and my vision and the direction of travel. And what are the weeds that we need to de-weed? Like, not good enough, like never have enough time, like, you know, not consistent enough, or not intelligent enough, or couldn't possibly do this for whatever reason. Like, none of this is true. The brain doesn't know what is right or what is wrong. Like, it will believe whatever you're trying it to believe. And belief is just a thought that you thought enough times. So if you think the same thought over and over again, it will become belief and it goes into your subconscious mind. So here is a task for you. What I want you to do, and I often do this with my clients, and it's fascinating what comes back a couple of weeks later and the massive change. Because the brain, like neuroplasticity, which is our natural power of the brain to change and adapt to different learning experiences, is incredible. So it doesn't take the brain long to learn. So if you train your brain to believe I'm inconsistent, you can train your brain to now change that belief to actually I am consistent. And if you set your brain a challenge to find the examples of your consistency and train it to believe that you are consistent, that's what the brain is going to do. It's not different to a computer. Whatever you put on, whatever you put in there, it's going to check out. So what I'd like you to do as a task for the next 2 weeks is train your brain to confirm the right things. So find just one thing to start with. I obviously use consistency because that was like my big thing, but I know people say I'm not good enough, or this would be okay. Like, I don't know, some success may be okay for other people, but I'm not good at this, or I don't have the connections, or I don't have the money, or this opportunity would never happen to me, whatever it might be. Or I know someone who's struggled with, I'm not good at community building. So then they set themselves a task to actually find examples of being good at community building. And the results were extraordinary after a couple of weeks. So what I'd like you to do is literally take 30 seconds now to think of one thing, one belief, or one powerful thought that you have in your head that actually isn't supporting where you're going and the vision of the life that you want to create. And you want to change it. Just think of one thing and write it down. And for the next 2 weeks, I want you to set your brain a challenge to find examples of that not being true and the opposite being true. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? Everyone has something?
Yeah, I have something.
Perfect. Also, if I speak too fast, please tell me, because I just get so excited and passionate about things. I go on 100 miles an hour. And I will leave something at the end for questions. So if there's something that's not clear, then of course, let me know. So we cannot underestimate the power of the mind. And the reason I wanted to bring it, which initially when I was pulling this together, I thought this might seem a bit random. I'm talking about lots of other things, and suddenly I'm just talking about the brain because I can't help myself. But everything starts with a thought. like everything we do, because our thoughts they generally drive our emotions, and our emotions drive our behaviors. Our behaviors drive our actions, and our actions create the experiences that we have. So whatever we're trying to achieve, whatever we're working towards, we need to make sure that we have thoughts, and our brains are full of thoughts that are supporting our goals and supporting the journey that we're taking, and not going against where we're going and what we're doing. So moving on, what's my role? I see my role, obviously I talked about being a citizen, global citizen, and forever foreigner, and being, mother to fur babies and whatever. But I feel very passionate also about the roles that we play in the world. And for me, my role is being the change I want to see in the world. And to me, it is, you don't create peace, for example, by shouting that we want peace, and by going against someone who isn't very peaceful and becoming more like them. The only way for us to create world peace, which I don't think is a pipe dream, I don't think is unachievable, the way to do this is be the example. If you are peaceful, your family is more peaceful. If your family is more peaceful, that's the impact that they will have on community. If the communities become more peaceful, then big cities will become more peaceful. If the cities become peaceful, then countries become peaceful, and so on. So to me, a big part of my role in the world, regardless of whether I'm playing a role of being in the business, being with my friends, talking to my mother and whatever, my role is creating a peaceful world by being peaceful. My role is creating an authentic world by being authentic with everyone around me. My role is to create more loving and more caring and more kind world by being loving and kind and sharing that, regardless of what's happening. Because to me, there is so much drive very often to polarize. Like we get conditioned to believe that you have to be either here or there, that something is either right or wrong, that something is either good or bad. But we don't think enough, and we don't talk enough about the power of each individual, of every single one of us. The power of us being an example of peace, being an example of change, of authenticity, love, but also being an example of possibility. So I see this as my daily role wherever I am. But I also know that your role is also being an example of possibility. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be here listening to this right now. I believe that every single one of us and what we're doing by who we are, and not just the jobs that we're doing, not just the titles and not just the actions, but who we are as women and as people, is being an example of possibility and showing others what is possible when you're determined, when you're driven, when you have a mission, when you have a vision, and when you're not willing to take no for an answer. And for that, I feel extremely grateful to be part of this network because we're all examples. And this, again, goes back to Audrey Hepburn's quote of obviously using one hand to help yourself and the other hand to help others. Well, but being an example of possibility, you're doing that too, because all of us from all different walks of lives and different backgrounds, you never know who is going to hear your story, see what you're doing, see who you're being, and think, well, if she can do this, so can I. And you're becoming an example, because it's not just about the people who are the most famous and the biggest. Like, it's wonderful that they're leading the way, but very often for a lot of other people, this is like, it's on a pedestal, so they can't see how they would ever achieve this. Whereas the more of us share our stories, the more people see, well, if normal people can do this, if she could come from Poland, not speak a word of English, not having a clue what she was doing, and if she could create a life that was, way beyond my wildest dreams. And I'm not exaggerating it. When I was in Poland, I vividly remember standing in front of a shop window, looking at a pair of jeans at the age of 18, and saying that I really hope that I'll be able to create a life. I was saying this to my friend, that I really hope that I'll be able to create a life where I will be able to buy a pair of jeans without having to save money for 6 months first. This was my dream. Needless to say, I can now go and buy a pair of jeans without having to save for 6 months. I can buy even more pairs of jeans, but I'm not interested in it because I'm also not interested in creating more waste on the planet. But you can see through this example, like what my dreams were and where I was, and then what I created through determination. Like, I didn't know anyone, I didn't speak the language, I didn't have any help. The first months they were hell. There were nice months. I was ringing my mom every day and I was crying. And she would tell me, why don't you just go back home? I'll send you some money. And I was like, no, I am 20 years old. I need to take responsibility for my life and I will learn whatever life is trying to teach me here. So there was a lot of determination, but through that determination, obviously I built a lot of resilience. Like, resilience isn't some sort of magical thing that we have or don't have. It's a skill. It is getting out of your comfort zone. It is using the adversities as lessons and so on. And we can all develop it. So we're all example of possibility for each other and for others. And every day we create history. And that's why I feel so honored and so privileged to be part of this network and to have been invited to your crowd, incredible crowd of so much inspiration, because everything that you have been doing so far, it just blows my mind. And you know, today we create history. Yesterday we already created history. Tomorrow we'll create history. And I want us to make it the best one yet. I want us to work together and build towards a world that's full of equality and inclusion, because we can do it. And I personally feel that so many people had to fight for the rights, for the freedoms and the privileges that we now have and often take it for granted. I would feel rude and disrespectful if I didn't make my utmost and the best I can in order to utilize it for the right things and make sure that I continue to do the work of the people who started it some hundreds of years ago, some not that long ago, and some still working on things. I feel that I need to show my appreciation by playing my role of making a difference and continuing to make the difference. And here, so when we had the International Women's Day catch up on Zoom, Tamara, who is also part of this network, had mentioned that her 400 drams, they were doing a nomination on Twitter where you could nominate a woman to get an NFT. I'm not on Twitter, but I absolutely love the idea. So since then, I committed that every single day I will celebrate Women's Day and I will feature a different woman. And I've been doing that on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and people are absolutely loving it. And it's incredible. Even today, I got a message going like, girl, you need to get all these women together because this is amazing. So today I couldn't do this session and not feature Shelle. So we haven't, as Shelle mentioned, we haven't known each other for a long time, but to me, you are an example of a woman who makes the seemingly impossible, not only possible, but incredible success. Like hearing your story of someone who, you know, didn't know tech, was not from the industry, and it was from a completely different background, to take, you know, that and then turn it into the success that you've turned it into, like, it's incredible. But it's not just that, because you didn't just make a success for yourself. To me, you are the example of using your other hand to help others, because alongside the incredible success and showing that impossible really is possible, you've taken thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of women on that journey, which is absolutely incredible. And I also have to say that over the years, I have always been very fortunate to work with very inspiring people, to be surrounded by inspiring people and by very supportive women. Not all, of course, but majority. But I also seek out those networks and examples, because to me, it's very important who you surround yourself with. And I want to be surrounded by inspiration and women who are driving in the same direction that I am in. But to me, you are the biggest example, and like the passion for empowerment of other women like radiates from you. Like I have met many incredible women over the years, but I've never met anyone who is as passionate, as empowering, like genuinely passionate and genuinely doing so much to empower other women. As you, it's just absolutely incredible. So I just wanted to say thank you, and you're my feature today, which obviously I will plaster over social media later on, but I didn't want to spoil it before.
Oh, thank you so much. That's just one of the nicest things, and it wow, thank you so much. And you know, I'm just hugely grateful for that nomination. You know, because I do care, and I do care very, very much about empowering others. You know, it has to be done. You know, and it can be done, and it will be done, and I'm here to make sure that, you know, that continues long after I'm not around to be able to do that work. Because if we create more and more and more examples of how things should be done, then you've got a legacy, then you've got change, and you've got not only a future, but you know, you've made the history as well. And you know, and I believe it only starts with one small thought, one small action, one small intention, and great things can happen. So thank you for acknowledging that. I really appreciate that so much. Thank you. Love you.
And thank you. Love you. And to kind of wrap it up, what I'd like you all to do is close your eyes. You can switch the camera off if you wanna switch it off, but we'll take a few minutes to close our eyes, take a deep breath, and just follow me. So close eyes, take a few deep breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. With each exhale, feel yourself letting go of any tension or stress that you may be holding on to. It's Saturday, we just had a wonderful, well, I had anyway, wonderful time. So just let go of any tensions. As you continue to breathe deeply, I want you to imagine yourself standing in the center of a beautiful city square. The sun is shining brightly over your head. The air is warm and inviting. You look around and notice that the square is filled with people from all walks of life, all genders, all different ages, all different races, all different religions, all different backgrounds. As you take in the sights and the sounds of the square, you begin to notice that everyone is interacting with each other in a friendly and respectful way. People are laughing and chatting, children are playing, and there is a sense of harmony and peace in the air. You notice the gentle breeze blowing and the fresh scent of blooming cherries and magnolia flowers in the air. You hear the laughter of the children playing and the sound of live music being played in the distance. As you look around, you notice a woman in a wheelchair enjoying a coffee and a conversation with a friend in the shade of a palm tree. In another corner of the square, a group of women of different ages, races, and backgrounds are discussing a project they're currently working on together. You can see their passion and enthusiasm. They look very happy. As you continue to breathe deeply, I want you to imagine that you're walking through the city streets, taking in the sights and sounds around you. You notice the delicious smells of food from a street vendor, the sounds of birds chirping in the trees. You notice that every business and organization you pass is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Women are represented equally in leadership roles, and everyone is valued for their unique talents and perspectives. As you continue to walk, you notice that people are happy, healthy, and fulfilled. You smell the freshness of the air and the aroma of freshly baked bread. There is a sense of purpose and meaning in the air, and everyone is working towards creating a better world for themselves and for our future generations. As you continue to breathe deeply, I want you to imagine that you are standing on top of a high hill. You are overlooking the entire city. From this vantage point, you can see the whole city, all of its people, everyone working together in harmony and unity. You smell the fresh scent of the grass and the sweet fragrance of the blooming trees and flowers. You feel a deep sense of peace and gratitude for this beautiful world that we have created, where everyone is equal, diverse, inclusive, and free from bias. You smell the ocean, the fresh ocean breeze, and you hear the sound of the waves crashing the shore. Take a few more deep breaths, and when slowly open your eyes, feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and inspired to work towards creating a more equal and inclusive and diverse world. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And this, I hope, was nice, and it may seem like just a dream, but it is not a dream. The world that we're in today, how we are and what we're able to do today was just a thought in someone's head, probably a few years ago. Zoom was probably just a dream in someone's head a few years ago, yet we're here connected. The privileges, the technology, the progress that we are using today, and we often take for granted because it's just part of life, that was just someone's thought, a seemingly impossible idea not that long ago. Yet we're here. What you have just mapped out in your mind is not just a dream. We can totally make it happen. We have the power, like Shelle said, it starts with a little thing, but everything starts with a thought. And the power, I believe that the power of the human mind is infinite. Everything in this world, outside of what Mother Nature, which I think is unbeatable, what she has created, everything else started with someone's thought, with an idea, and with passion and drive to making it happen. So what you have just created in your head through this little visualization is entirely possible. And by working together and by empowering each other, we can make that happen. So I just wanted to say thank you. My contact details are here for anyone if you wanted to chat. My little motto always is get better, not bitter, choose courage over fear, choose wisdom over wounds, and lead with love and kindness. And I'd like to, on that note, I'd like to open up for the questions and and leave you with that little note.
Do you have an
Amazing.
Instagram?
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. That was lovely. Do you have an Instagram, or where can we follow you? Where do you post on social media?
I haven't. I post on social media indeed. In fact, I've been plastering about this for days. So my Instagram is Nina_the Midlife Revolution. I'll pop it in the chat box so it's easier. And LinkedIn and Facebook, I'm just under Nina Szewczak, so you can easily find me. And I'm not on Twitter, but that's plenty of ways to get in touch with me, of course. And you can check out my website as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions, or if there's anything that was not clear or you'd like to know more of, or anything that came to your mind, or any feedback. I'm always forever learner. So anything that you feel actually she could have done this better, or that would have been more powerful in that way, then I'm very open to hear anything.
No, you were absolutely amazing. You were, and it was just inspirational, motivational, encouraging, and the visualization at the end was just so lovely. You know, I feel so chilled out now. I might, you know, it's just decluttering, isn't it? You know, you kind of feel decluttered, and just absolutely amazing. And you know, like you said, you know, you've shared where people can connect with you and reach out, and you know, if they want to find out more or get involved in any way or whatever. Does anybody on this panel today have any feedback or questions for our guest? You can open up your mics and just speak freely. It's perfectly fine, everybody. Just let us know what you think to Nina, and if you've got any comments or questions, please open up your mics and share away before we close.
Nina, thank you. That was so inspirational. I'd like to be able to read what you've just gone through, the one we closed our eyes, because I want to read it to myself again later. It was really uplifting.
I can share it with you.
Great, thank you. And
let me see if I can pop it in the chat.
I wanted to ask you, you're very brave, and obviously coming from Poland and then not speaking English, you really found your way and made an absolute success. So congratulations on all you've done. I wanted to ask you what do you think your breakthrough moment was? What's helped you to get to where you are today? What was it, the key thing? You know, like for me at the moment, I work full time and I'm trying to do my side business of coaching. I think my weakness at the moment is sales and leads. But what was your absolute thing that you think really helped you get on the way? What's your key learning or key challenge that you learned from all of it?
I think my big thing is that whenever I face adversity, and I faced quite a few adversities throughout my life, that my big thing that I think it has started off as a coping mechanism is that I always feel like there is a lesson in there. And very often when I go through very tough times, I think I can't see the lesson yet, but it will become clear. So I just to overcome things quicker. So for example, when I said my life had turned a corner, I found out on that New Year's Eve. So at midnight, I was happily married, everything was perfect. And then 90 minutes later, I found out that my now husband was living a double life for the past 4 years. So pretty much since the day I said yes to his proposal. So for me, that was like, I didn't know what I'm going to do with it. And that's why people were telling me it's going to take you 2 or 3 years, because that's the psychological average, because we were together for 12 and a half years. So that's the psychological average to get over a relationship of that length. But I was so determined. I mean, it hurt like hell. I didn't think anything can hurt me as much as it did, but it did. But at the same time, I thought, well, there is nothing I can do about this now. It's done. I can't turn the time back. I can't take it away. I can't change it. Like, it's done. And it wasn't a democratic decision. He did what he did. What can I do? The only thing I can ever do is to take it as my own journey and to be able to move forward in the best possible way. So to me, looking back at, okay, is not forgiving or holding on to the hurt or, you know, feeling like a victim or asking why me or why did he or whatever, is any of that going to help? No. So I needed to be able to move on. Of course, this is not easy because our minds and our brains naturally have tendency to go back and be like, why didn't you do this? How did you not identify, you know, self-blame, all of that starts to come in, and then dwelling on things, because that's a natural, that's how brain would work. So that then led me to starting to study neuroscience, because I thought there must be a way to train my brain to be able to go over it quicker. Now, within 6 months, I created a different life, and people are like, oh my God, how are you able to look back at what you have been through and feel zero negative emotions? And I'm like, I am. And I'm also not just looking back at everything that happened with no emotions, but I'm grateful, because if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be who I am today. So to me, it's always looking at whatever is like, I call it lemon. I've wrote a book called Lemonade. Whatever lemons you get thrown in your faces, there is a lesson in it, and you can make a lemonade out of it. And sometimes when you're in the initial pain and hurt, you can't see it just yet, of course. But knowing that it will come and you have got the power to turn it into something better is what keeps you going. Absolutely. And my other determination has been that when I first came to the UK, it was awful, not just because I didn't know anyone, but there were ridiculous rules, like you couldn't rent a place if you didn't have a bank account, you couldn't open a bank account if you didn't rent a place. There wasn't many Polish people there back then. I didn't have anyone who, spoke the language. I got connected with people who weren't very kind. I lost money, like people stole from me. I had a stalker, like lots of things that you really don't need as a foreigner who is on their own in a country. But of course, I was young. I didn't have the support. I couldn't even go to the police because I didn't speak the language. So a lot of things like that happened to me. But my determination was, get better, not bitter. I could have gone, okay, people are nasty. The world is a bad thing. I'm never going to help anyone. But the more I was pushed in the corner and treated unkindly, the more I was like, I don't ever want anyone to have to go through what I'm going through now. I want to be able to help, and I always want to be able to reach out with my hand and make sure that whoever I'm seeing, wherever I'm seeing them, that I am able to help them so that I don't have to go through the hell that I'm going through. So that has also been very helpful. But I think like that determination also comes from the fact that I do believe that life is a miracle, that we're a miracle. And I believe that life is such a brief sparkle. I feel like wherever we came from, I mean, I don't know, that again, might be a coping mechanism, but I always compare life to, if someone told you, so yeah, Sonal, if someone said to you now, I'm going to give you a ticket for a brief journey on this incredible planet. I mean, it's amazing. There's so many things to explore, and you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can have whatever you want to have. You would go wild, right? You would be like, amazing. To me, that's life. Wherever we came from, whatever this is, like we live on an incredible planet, and we live at a time where we genuinely can be whoever we want to be. We genuinely can have whatever we want to have. We genuinely can do whatever we want to do. Yes, it's not all roses and sparkles and rainbows, but the bad times prepare us for the good times and make us appreciate the good times more. But to me, this is what life is. It's a wild journey where you are in charge. And to me, very often we don't realize that the only control we ever have is self-control. We create this illusion that we can control so many things. We can't control anything other than ourselves. So in any situation and every day, I'm thinking, what is my role in it? and how do I make the most of today? And how do I make the most of today for me and for everyone and for the legacy and my contribution to the world? So I've gone on in lots of different directions, but I hope this helps.
Thank you.
Fabulous, fabulous, love it. I feel all pumped up and raring to go now for the rest of my Saturday. You know, it's just so great to be reminded of these things and have it pointed out as well. And I know our audience will have, you know, got tremendous value from this session today and from meeting you, and we'll go on and have further value through connecting with you as well in the ways that you've shared with us. Does anybody else, Joanne or Saumya, do you have anything to add to this today before we close?
Hi, yeah. Sorry, I've got my camera off. It started flicking there, so I've turned it off not to distract us. Yeah, I'd just like to say to Nina, thank you so much for joining today. It's been so inspirational. Like it's absolutely truly been a pleasure, honest. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate, you know, I know everyone is busy, so I really appreciate you being here and listening to me. And I'm always happy to share anything and help in any way I can. And, you know, I'm always easily contactable. So anything I can ever do, I'm here.
Fabulous. Yeah, I know that I've got you on speed dial already. I didn't mess about. And I'm looking forward to meeting up with you. I'm looking forward to meeting up with you, Nina, as soon as we arrange that. I know we're talking about it, but I'm just going to say now, I think over to Saumya, because I know that you'll have some finishing words to share with us also. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Miss Nina. That was such a wonderful and inspiring, motivational, I could say all the words, all the positive words available in the dictionary for you. So that was such a really great seminar. So now I would like, I mean, it's really so nice when you explained that who am I and the various roles you're playing, and that's how you try to relate it with each and every woman, saying that every woman is capable of, is actually doing that multitasking. And the way you try to connect with each and every experience to other people, that was really great. And one thing which I really appreciate is, you said you chase one degree after another degree. So that is something that is really to be appreciated, because I always love somebody who's on this journey of education and you're wise enough to learn from the life lessons. And it's so quick that, you know, against the expectation of others where they've said it might take 3 years or 4 years, but you're such a quick learner, maybe you've got such a sharp and clear mind and head. So that's the reason you're able to overcome all those challenges in just a very short period of time. And I think it's also your positive energy and positive outlook of life that made you overcome all those things in a very short period of time. And you know, it's really such an inspiring thing that being from Poland, you've took you've taken this journey to UK without knowing a word of English, and you started the journey, and you are such an open person, frank person, where you freely shared all that experiences so that we can learn from it. No, so usually there are people who do not share these experiences, or because they might think, I don't know what people are going to say, so they might criticize or something. But you have this outlook in your head that I need to help others. You told this quotation of Audrey Hepburn, right? You remind me of Audrey Hepburn. Anyway, I've been telling you this. So the quote, even last time when you quoted this, as you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others. That's really apt, even for you. So because that's what you're doing, and you've been helping through your experiences, through your journey, motivating others, teaching others. So I'm really thankful to you. And when you were telling about this neuroscience of thoughts, that is the confirmation bias, the thoughts, emotions, behavior, actions, experience, life, all that link. So I was just going through my emotional intelligence classes, which I had been through, or the previous experiences, what I have learned in my education. So I'm really thankful for that. It was very beautifully explained and well connected. And thank you for such positive take on women. You told about so many challenges that women are facing, especially with respect to the investment, the equality. You even discussed about the sexual harassment that's happening, and so many things. And you wanted to help all the women regarding it. And I should also appreciate and thank you for praising Shelle Fantastic in such a wonderful manner. Yes, I absolutely agree with that, because if she is not there, there's no SheFan Pro as well, and there are no, I mean, we employees wouldn't be existing, and at the same time, even this talk wouldn't be happening. So yes, and even the Women's Day event and all the events which happened, you know, if Shelle Fantastic wouldn't have given that green card, I don't think that would have ever happened. So I can say that, you know, first of all, she is such what do you call? It's like you were telling about the mountain in the visualization affirmation, right? So she's like that mountain of positive energy, and that force where you know, force trying to empower women, and they've already helped Miss Shelle Fantastic as well as Miss Joanne. They've helped people in Bangladesh. They've sponsored people there in Bangladesh. So they've always been doing something great and positive. So, and that's one of the reasons why they've come up with Empowered Women Collective as well, where they will be doing so many positive things. And I think that collective is all we together, where all of us today, we are there. So it's a collective, we'll be working on the same. And thank you for explaining that neuroplasticity, that one powerful thought. And thank you for motivating us, and everything. And thank you for nominating Miss Shelle Fantastic. And we also love your post where you've been praising one lady a day, and that's such a great initiative. So thank you a lot. And yes, and the thing you told about world peace, and so this reminded me of Gandhiji's quote, Mahatma Gandhi's quote: "Be the change you want to see in others." So, and thank you a lot. That's such a wonderful seminar once again. And thank you for that visualization and the affirmations. Thank you a lot, Ms. Nina.
And thank you so much for such a wonderful summary, Saumya. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here and all your kind words. Honestly, it means the world to me. And I genuinely feel so honored and privileged to be able to do this. And yeah, thank you.
Just outstanding. You're outstanding from the moment I met you. You're outstanding now. You're going to keep being outstanding. And, you know, thank you so much for being outstanding today. I mean, what can I say? Just, you know, just love you to bits. I believe that everything happens for a reason. You know, I traveled down to London that day, and, you know, I saw you and you stood out, you know, and yeah, and here we are today. And you know, I'm partnered with SheFan Pro as well. You know, we can't do better than that. It's a real achievement for us. So thank you so much. And all that's left to say is, you know, a huge, fabulous thank you to you. You're sensational. I really love the treat that you did at the end with the visualization. Thank you for the nomination. And, you know, I'm really hoping that you're going to come back again sometime in the future and catch it with us all and let us know how you're doing, please.
Definitely. I'm always happy to, always happy to be part of, Thank you.
Perfect. Excellent. So thank you to everybody that's been here today. Thank you to our fabulous guest speaker. Thank you to our audience watching back on the recording. Please come back again. We're always here for you at SheFan Pro. We grow together. That's what it's all about. We grow together. So share your network with SheFan Pro here. Let's grow together and let's do something amazing globally. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to end the session, and thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Bye.